boys and girls. It is Wednesday, April 15th, and I didn't do a read aloud yesterday because you had to watch that Foundations video that was kind of long. So I decided to start our read aloud this week, and I'm going to start a chapter book. We've been doing a lot of picture books, and I thought it would be cool to bring back The Secrets of Droon. So we're going to read The Secrets of Droon-Quest for the Queen. Chapter 1, A New Kind of Homework. Rub, scrub, splash. Eric Hinkle bent over the sink in the bathroom at school. He swished his hands in the soapy water, trying to clean up after Jim. "You're lousy at climbing ropes," he said to his friend Neil. "Did you have to fall on me?" "I'm better at watching things than doing them," Neil said as he scrubbed dirt from his shirt, his nose, and his shoes. "I think it's a sign of smartness." "That's not what the coach said," said Eric. Then he laughed. "Man, we need to go back." "To class?" said Neil. "Mrs. Michaels promised us a math quiz." "Can't we be a little late?" Eric turned to face him. "No, I mean to Droon. I can't think about anything else." It was true. Droon was always on Eric's mind. It had all begun one day when he and Neil and their friend Julie were cleaning up his basement. Well, they were supposed to be cleaning up. Mostly they were playing around. Then, behind some boxes, they had discovered a small closet. Inside the closet was a rainbow-colored staircase. Do you remember this from our first book, guys? It led to another world, a magical world called Droon. Neil splashed water on his nose. "I know what you mean. It's kind of boring here." "Julie wants to go back too. I just hope Kia is okay." Kia was one of the first people the kids had met in Droon. She was a young princess learning to be a junior wizard. An old and very powerful wizard named Galen Longbeard was teaching her all the magic she needed to know. But what Kia wanted to know most was when her mother would be free of an evil spell. For years, Kia's mother, Queen Relna, had been changing into one animal after another. She had to go through many shapes until she could be human again. At the end of their last adventure, Kia had learned that the queen was now in the form of a red tiger. To find her, Kia had flown away on the back of a giant bird. The kids didn't know what had happened next. "I wish we could go back whenever we want," said Eric. "I don't like waiting." Usually the kids dreamed about Droon. Sometimes Kia sent them a message through an enchanted soccer ball. But until one of those things happened, Eric and his friends just had to wait. Tap, tap. There was a knock at the lavatory door. "Guys?" It was Julie's voice. "Mrs. Michaels wants you back right now," she said. "It's quiz time." Neil looked at his shirt in the mirror. It was soaking wet. "Well, my work here is done. See you in class." Eric left alone at the sink. Eric was about to drain the water when he glanced down. The soap suds swirling in the sink suddenly stopped. In the shape of a face. A sad old face with a long white beard. "Galen?" Eric mumbled to himself. "Galen!" A moment later, the face in the sink was gone. The water was just water. Eric dashed back to class and slid into his seat between Julie and Neil. "I just saw Galen floating in the bathroom sink," he said. "How did he fit in there?" Julie asked. "No, I mean, his face was in the soap." "Eric," said Mrs. Michaels, giving him a stern look. "We'll start our math quiz now." She passed out the papers and stood in front of the room. "You will have 10 minutes to finish. Starting now." Eric looked at the paper, but all he could think about was the wizard's face. Why had Galen appeared to him? Why had he looked so sad? Was something wrong? Eric felt a tug on his sleeve. It was Julie. She was staring at the chalkboard. He looked up. He nearly fell out of his seat. A piece of yellow chalk was floating up behind the teacher's back. Silently, it pressed against the green board and began to write. Eric glanced around. Everyone else was busy working on the quiz. Their heads were down. The chalk began to spell out letters. S, H, E. Eric slid his foot out and tapped Neil's sneaker. Neil looked up. His mouth dropped open. I, S. The chalk hesitated as Mrs. Michaels glanced at the clock. 5 more minutes, she said. Here's what they saw. The chalk continued writing. L-O-S-T. She is lost. Eric's eyes widened. She? Kia! Mrs. Michaels started to turn around. Then the eraser flashed up from the bottom of the board and swish, wiped away what the chalk had written. Eric and his friends were the only ones to see the message. They were the only ones meant to see it. They were so excited they could hardly finish the quiz. When the bell finally rang, they burst from the classroom and rushed out to their bus. Galen must have sent this message, Eric whispered. I think it's about Kia. Julie nodded. She must have gotten lost trying to find her mother, and now we need to find her. It's like homework, said Neil, only from Droon. 10 minutes later, the bus stopped at their corner. They raced into Eric's house and were down in his basement in no time. Neil and Julie pulled aside some heavy boxes. Behind the boxes was the door to a small closet nestled under the basement steps. The kids piled into the closet and shut the door behind them. Eric looked at Julie and Neil. Everybody ready? He asked. They nodded. Julie turned off the light. Click! For an instant, the small room was dark. Then, whoosh! The floor vanished beneath them, and they stood at the top of a long, shimmering staircase. They never knew where their stairs would lead, only that one of their Droon friends would meet them at the bottom. A warm wind blew as the 3 friends began to descend the stairs. The sky around them was glowing pink. There's a coastline below, said Julie. Some sand, lots of sharp rocks. There's a big sea on one side and a forest on the other. It looks okay. I don't see anybody down there, said Neil. Where's our welcome committee? Let's just be careful, said Eric cautiously. We can't be sure of anything. That was true. There were lots of friendly creatures and people in Droon, but there were other types too. An evil sorcerer named Lord Spar had long been trying to take over Droon. He was in hiding now, but the kids knew he could pop up at any moment. As Eric looked out across the crashing waves, he also remembered the mysterious witch named Demether, who ruled under the sea. The last time they saw her, Demether had transformed herself into a giant sea serpent. Kasplursh! Waves splashed over the rocks below. I see a boat, said Julie, pointing to a small shape bobbing on the waters. I bet it's Galen, coming to welcome us. Yes, a friendly face, said Neil. Let's hurry down and meet him. They dropped onto the beach just as the staircase faded. They knew it would appear again when it was time to go home. The boat headed toward them. He's trying to land, said Neil. Kawoom! The sea thundered loudly and a large wave rose up like a hand. It seemed to grab the tiny boat and hurl it right at the shore. Right at the jagged rocks. Oh no, Galen's going to hit the rocks. He's going to crash. And that's the end of chapter 1. So make a prediction. What do you think happened? Do you think he crashed? Or do you think he made it safe? We'll have to find out tomorrow. Tomorrow, chapter 2 is called Strange Strangers. Okay, see you tomorrow.